it's blacklisted. Never go there. What on Google review, I gave it a 1 out of 5. That's because I couldn't give it a 0. Um, Took way too long. The food was overpriced. Um, the pictures were weird. I'm not a fan of that place at all.
Okay, and with that being said, welcome back to the Washed Athlete Podcast. This is episode, I don't know which episode this is, ever 10. All right,
10th episode.
episode 10.
Whoa. We are
big
10
double
episodes.
digits.
Double digits.
Yes, and instead of having our first sponsor, we are officially blacklisting a sponsor from our podcast. Boca de Beppo, go to hell. Okay. So this weekend has been pretty interesting for everybody, along with our Boca de Beppo adventures. March Madness has started. It has been, as per usual, absolute chaos with our brackets. So if anybody wants to go on a nice tangent about how absolutely bombed their brackets are, Raj, you look really excited.
Oh boy, don't get me started on my bracket. It is beyond, there's no hope for me. I'm coming in last no matter what. First off, Kentucky sold, Iowa sold.
Raj, your mic.
Oh, is it?
Pop it a little bit. I love that Xbox headset. Okay, you're good now, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my bracket's it's beyond, repair. I think I'm, 20% now.
Because you had a finalist out day one, right?
Yeah, thanks, Iowa.
Day one. Round of 64
I did have Iowa in my Final Four, so I definitely felt the impact of that, but
in the chip and they lose first round. That's
in my defense, this is the first time I actually autofilled a bracket instead of actually going through it individually, which is my fault. But at the same time, I'm still kind of shocked that Iowa, but Iowa and Kentucky both got out first round, and it's just and Baylor too, second round.
Yeah,
Kentucky was a shocker because I had them, I believe, in my Final Four, so that one hurt too.
But speaking of the Baylor game, I know we were all watching it.
Yeah,
what a game.
My God,
game.
That is wow. I really was hoping Baylor would pull it off.
Well, actually, so about that game in specific, everyone was saying how good of a game it was. It was not. It was objectively a terrible game. The game was a blowout for the entire game, and then someone got ejected. Then it was a blowout the other way, and then it got to overtime, and it was terrible basketball. People just getting fouled, and it was an actual a dreadful game to watch because I turned it on, whatever was watching. I was like, man, Baylor's getting routed. Who cares? Watch a different game. And then they start coming back. I'm like, okay, this was fun. And then I was like, well, now UNC's just playing like ass. I don't want to watch this crap. And then it gets to overtime, and it's the most boring because the refs are blowing every single whistle. These guys don't know how to play. They're missing all these shots. So the game was kind of terrible. But I'm glad UNC pulled it out. They did choke a little bit, but I think their ejection was a little bit unfair. And yeah, I'm glad they pulled it out. Upsets, I have UCLA going to I have a couple brackets going on, but in my main bracket I have UCLA beating Baylor, so it's not too bad for me. But then I had Kentucky winning, so I guess it really doesn't matter.
Oh well, yeah, that's a little bit kind of screwed there. What about everybody else's? There we go.
Well, I also had Kentucky in my Final Four. I also had Tennessee in my Final Four. So I'm down there. But my my Western side for the round of 64, I only got one wrong, and that was Alabama. They lost Notre Dame. And then my Southern side of the bracket was also pretty good. I only had one wrong there, and it was Loyola Chicago losing to Ohio State. But right now, if I look at it, I'm definitely, I'd be highly surprised if I were to win. But I'd also be highly surprised if I were to come in dead last. So I feel like this year, out of every year, I felt the least confident with my bracket. Last year was pretty clear cut. You should probably pick Gonzaga to win.
Jacob, I don't want to rain on your parade, buddy, but you're currently third, and you have the second. Besides our one friend who's.
But Raj is definitely going to come in last, though.
Yeah.
He's almost he has. I'm not saying I'm going to win.
Sorry,
I'd be surprised.
I thought the last place bracket was our friend's name, but he just used our friend's name in his bracket name. So
Yeah, it's not
yeah,
her. It's
no,
Raj.
not her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Raj.
So Raj is done. But besides Raj, Jacob, you have the second least amount of max points available, and you still are in third place, and you're 60 behind me. So you have 60 more max points than me, and 60 less current points than me.
Right. So what's your point?
You're not in good shape.
Yeah, I said I probably would be surprised if I came in last, but I'd also be very surprised if I came in first.
Well, you're
I don't even
okay.
know if you can come last
Raj
or not.
doesn't count though.
What do you mean he doesn't count?
He's irrelevant.
His bracket looks
What
terrible.
doesn't count?
He's got
He's-
1,000 projected points. So that's awful. That's like
He's
a
like-
that's a collapse.
it's like
Yeah, so that's why I said
mathematically-
I'd be surprised if I came in last, because if I came in last, there'd have to be something awful happen. But I'm
Mathematically
also
speaking, it's
super far
impossible.
behind.
One
To
person
co-
in our
like,
bracket.
if I were to come in first, that would also be as big of a shock.
One person in our bracket still has the whole Final Four still up. They have Gonzaga, Purdue, Villanova, and Kansas. So that's like great.
Give me that.
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally wasn't an autofill.
I need to talk about my two sleepers that I guess should have slept on because I'll talk about them. All right, both of them. So I had Virginia Tech. They had just qualified. You know, I really liked their team. Like they were a fun team. I had them going in the Sweet 16.
Sorry.
Yeah.
For our listeners that don't see video, are you still wearing your backpack?
What? No, it's a little back bracer. You
Oh,
know, it's
okay.
Peter Science stuff all day. Just
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah. So I had VT dancing a little bit. Had them going in the Sweet 16 because I liked their team. They got out first round to Texas. So I guess hook 'em horns. But anyways, the other
Horns
team
down.
is my team. This is my team for March Madness. Loyola Chicago. I
every
love
year.
I love the culture surrounding them. Sister Jean, like just love them as a team. Last year had them beating Illinois. That was the highlight, just the peak of my March Madness career. But this year I had them going to the Elite Eight. I just for the culture. But they went out first round also. So that was rough. That one really hurt because I love Loyola Chicago, and just seeing them exit that early is just really sad.
Yeah, I mean, I do love Loyola Chicago. I love like their whole like vibe that they give off. It's like they're literally always underdogs. Like no matter if they're ranked higher than the team, like they just feel like underdogs always. Like that's just like their mindset. Like I absolutely love that. And obviously, Sister Jean is like the biggest meme ever. Like she is so funny to watch. Where it's just like this like really old nun just sitting on the sidelines of a basketball game, and everybody is just hyping her up so much, and she just like doesn't even move, and she's just like, "Go team!"
It breaks
everyone's like, "Let's go!"
It breaks every single nun stereotype you've ever had. Like I hadn't really like seen many nuns, and then when I saw Sister Jean, I was like, wait. She's like the biggest Loyola basketball fan. I was like, can they even do that? Like, like just
Wait,
every
nuns are
stereotype.
cool?
Yeah.
Listen, she is chilling at a solid 102 right now. She's still kicking it.
Ew.
She is 102
Holy
and still
That's
getting
crap.
ready for Loyola.
It's the power of the
hang
Lord.
on. So she was born in 1920?
1919.
1919.
So she's turning
Oh my-
103. So she's
Oh
turning
my
103 this year.
God.
You know, you just have to support Loyola. You just have to. You just got to
That
always
woman
root for him.
lived through the roaring 20s and is
Yes.
now in a second weird 20s.
She's in her lifespan, both roaring 20s.
Oh my God.
She's lived through part of World War One, World
World
War
War
II,
II, the
Vietnam War,
entirety of the
the
19th
Cold War,
century. Yeah.
9/11,
Like,
and now whatever's going on over in Ukraine. This is
okay,
Loyola-
so canonically speaking, she has both watched
What?
the United States win a world war and could have watched The Batman with Robert Pattinson.
That is true.
He
That is
could have
true.
watched both of
That is
those
true.
happen, technically speaking.
That is wild.
And honestly, and Sister Jean's still like, I don't know what with what COVID, but like she was still getting out a few years ago. She was at the games. Like she had
Yeah.
enough energy at like 99 and 100 to like get out and go sit courtside. And it was impressive.
God.
Yep, and they said this year she did travel with the team.
She
That's
traveled
awesome.
with the team. Oh my God, I love
That's
this woman.
awesome.
Fact.
That's awesome.
Did she
See,
be my
that's why-
grandma?
That's why you got to root for Loyola. It's a team for the culture.
Yeah. They always like do well like the first couple rounds, then it's like they play a legit team and it's like, oh well, yeah. Always ends up just kind of falling apart. But it's a good run. When it lasts, it's a good run. It's a good
It's
run.
okay. Nova's getting the revenge game right now on OSU, so they're getting avenged.
Yeah, they won. They won. They're gonna win. They're up by 8 with a minute left, and Nova doesn't blow these type of games.
Big Ten schools just aren't great.
Well, on another quick note, Lance Collins just signed with the Bengals to a 3-year deal, so Joe Burrow is going to be happy with that.
Reggie Bullock just signed with the Titans. Kicker.
Thank you,
Reggie
Justin,
Bullock.
for
I
those
think that's the
kicker
best
updates.
Yeah, of course. Gotta say the kickers.
Um,
Well, I thought I said
Oh.
2 year $60 million on like his
Dang.
contract, and I was like, holy crap! Like that must have been a star player who signed, and then I was like, oh, it's $6.4 million.
oh, okay.
Made a lot
Wait.
more sense.
Collins is the tackle. He used to play for the Cowboys. I can't.
Oh, okay. I think Peter's mic died.
Oh, it's
Or
my
his-
mic died.
I think you're. No, I think it wasn't your mic. I think it was just your connection for a little bit. But I think you're good
Oh,
now.
connection cut out. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you're good.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, he's really good. I'm surprised about that because like he was the guy that like started wearing like the knee brace on his arm because his arm was too big for any arm brace.
That's
So that's
insane.
yeah, like this dude's legit, and Cowboys keep getting worse, but somehow they're Super Bowl contenders every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
Every year, they're Super Bowl contenders. But back to March Madness, I was thinking about it. What do you guys think is like the appeal to March Madness? 'Cause I feel like not many people pay attention to college basketball throughout the year. Like it is like pretty much like I've watched very little college basketball. I know like the top teams because of like rankings and some of the prospects and whatnot as an NBA guy, but like I think I know more college basketball than any of you guys, and that's saying a lot because I don't watch much college basketball. But then as soon as March Madness happens, it is just like everyone just pays attention. So like what do you guys love about March Madness and what do you think makes it so like great?
Yeah, so there's one thing that comes to mind immediately. It could be any sport, but the upsets. Like, if there's upsets, it's just so fun. It's electric. Like, that is the number one thing for me. The fact that there's so many upsets, you just gotta love it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, especially in basketball too, because I feel like basketball is like a really unique sport where it's like you can really have like if you have like you can be a smaller school but if you have like a really good like team, you can really put together someone that can go out there and like just get one good game together and you can knock off a good team because they'll probably look past you. They're looking to like, okay, well, we got to look to the round of 16, round like Elite Eight, whatever. And they'll be able to look past you a little bit. But then those like smaller schools that can put together a good team that have just like these really talented players because it's not like as much as basketball is a physical sport, it's not a physical sport in the sense like you can just recruit the biggest human beings and they will just beat the crap out of other teams like in football. Like you wouldn't really see those upsets like if football had the same kind of like March Madness style. The big schools would win every single time and it would be like bad. Like it would be like a beatdown. Yeah, go Jacob.
Yeah. I mean, also part of what I feel like it couldn't even work in college football because football is such a physical sport that having all these different games, like it would take a significant toll on the players.
Yeah.
And I mean, also one thing that we're also not taking in consideration is like up until now, like there weren't no NIL deals, so they're then requiring a bunch of all these players, like these student athletes, to be playing a bunch of other games and they're not really, I guess, receiving getting any no direct benefit from I guess what they're doing out on the court. They could be increasing their draft their draft stock and all that, but I mean it's great in basketball because it is a physical sport at times, but it's not as physical as football, so that there's not as much wear and tear, not as much potential for injury. So yeah, I think it works perfectly in college basketball. It's not like there's a several game series. It literally is. Anything could happen on one game. Some people, one team could just hit 15 threes in a game, and win. So it really is like up to a chance at times. And then, at times, just the better team will win, or, they could just lose.
Yeah. So it's almost like that sense of like every year I feel like it's like you never really know what you're gonna get just because of like how just the way the cookie crumbles, like if a team shows up, if a team doesn't, if a player gets injured, player doesn't, something weird happens, something doesn't. You got one shot. That's it. And I think there's just like something so just awesome about that. Is where it's like where we saw what was it, UMBC beat Virginia. It was like the first time that happened, and that was very recently.
And
Like
Virginia,
Oh, yeah.
it's you never know. Like that's why you got to go out there. You got to play because every single time it's like, oh well, technically the one seeds should always be winning the national championship, but that almost never happens. So, but you got to go out
well,
there. And you got to play.
I don't know. The good teams always find a way to win because there's enough of
Mhm.
them in the tournament. I mean, like
Yeah,
even if you look now, besides Baylor, all the one seeds are still up. Now we still haven't made it past the round of 32 yet, so like people can still go down, but like the one seeds are still up. A lot of the two seeds are still up. So like they're inevitably all the good teams usually end up winning the tournament. But it's always interesting to see what the good teams do get knocked off. And it's interesting to see like runs happen. I always think about how like bite-sized March Madness is. Like it is a very condensed like the first two rounds. The second round is closing out tonight and it started Thursday. So in 4 days we've already dwindled down the teams from 64 to 16. And then we'll have a few days off before we get into the next two rounds. And then we'll have a week off until we get to the final games. But even at that, like, it is so quick. It's literally just takes place in March.
yeah,
And not even the whole month of March. Like, it started this weekend. So, like, really, like, March 17th onwards has been the start of March Madness. And it's just crazy how quickly it can be. Because, I mean, other sports like the NBA, NFL, like, especially the NBA and, like, NHL, you are watching 90 plus games. MLB, you're watching 100 plus games of sports to, like, keep updated with it. March Madness, like, it is less than a month. You have to tell you,
yeah.
like, I couldn't do this for a whole year. Like, if I was following March Madness like I do now, like, for a whole year, I'd be drained. Like, I wouldn't get any schoolwork done. But just because
Exactly.
it's so bite-sized, it's so much fun. Like, every year, no matter what, always watch March Madness. Always get upset over my bracket predictions being wrong, even though, of course, they're gonna be wrong. Like,
It's what happens every year. That's the point.
yeah. I did have Virginia winning the year they lost the 16 seed, which was the first time it ever happened in history. I was that guy. I did take
man.
Virginia next year to win the whole thing, and they won the whole thing.
Ah, okay. There we
Yeah,
go.
Revenge tour.
and
Can't sleep on a revenge tour.
Store.
and I
Yeah.
did have a little bit of PTSD when Gonzaga was tied with I cannot remember who they were playing, so I forgive me for it was Georgia State. When they were tied with Georgia State at like halftime, I was like, I thought Gonzaga was gonna pull it out, but a little bit part of me was like, is this gonna happen again? And it was the same top left of the bracket, like the number one overall seed. And
Yeah.
I got a little scared. I ain't even gonna lie. I got scared.
Started
Yeah.
sweating a little bit.
Yeah,
It
I
was
did.
it really was wild because I remember I was watching this game. I was texting the chat, guys, turn on the Gonzaga game, and they were really tied, and it was really a close game. Then I had to leave, and I had to go go get some stuff done. I go to check the game again, and Gonzaga's up by like 20 points, just like that.
Yeah.
It was
Just out of
absolutely
nowhere.
I was talking to my dad about this. I think what a lot of these teams do is if you're a number one seed, there's no reason for you to like go out really hard and try to build a 20-point lead. Like chill out, play some loose basketball, and you can tighten the screws later. Because like a team like Gonzaga, they have way too much talent than Georgia State. Like Drew Timmy, as soon as like the game got down to the point, he just took over the game, Chet Holmgren started dominating the paint a little bit more. And they Georgia State didn't score for like a solid like 5+ minutes. And
Yeah.
then Drew Timmy just like scored 10 straight points. And then it was like, oh, Gonzaga's fine. Because Jacob, you texted that, and I was like chilling on the grass with my girlfriend, and I was like just watching the score. I couldn't watch the game, and I was like, okay, Gonzaga's up by 2. Gonzaga's up by 5, 7, and I was like, oh, this game's over.
Yeah. Just the score just starts going up, and it's like, oh, it's that kind of game.
Where do you think Timmy's going to get drafted, Justin? Or like what round, or like what pick?
I think some team is going to convince themselves that he's going to draft him higher than he probably like should be because he has had a good college career and he has showed up in the playoffs. I don't know what I'm assuming he is a senior, right?
I think
Yeah.
Or like a fifth year. Um, because he doesn't really also have like he's 21 years old. He was born in 2000. That's crazy that someone born in 2000
Wow.
is like close to my age. That's ridiculous.
I hate
Like
that.
this kid, yeah, it's wild. Yeah, he's only 21 years old, so that makes him a junior. Well, I don't know when his birthday is September 9th.
Yeah, he's a junior. He's a junior.
Okay,
Wow.
junior. So I think he could get drafted a little higher. I mean, I think he could have gone into the draft last year. So clearly he wasn't gonna get drafted high enough because they would have had him there. He's on the big board right now. He's 65.
Wow.
Which I think
You
makes
got
a lot of
like
sense. Because the biggest thing with Drew Timmy is he doesn't have like a distinguishable trait in his basketball game where you go, oh, that guy, like he can do this really well, and that's like what he will be in the NBA. Like he's a 6'10" power forward center, so he's too small to play center. He's probably too big to play power forward. So he's gonna have to be a guy that comes off the bench and um does a little bit of everything. Like, he's gonna have to play center, but then like as soon as like if he's playing like the Sixers, for example, Joel Embiid comes in, you can't have Drew Timmy trying to defend Joel Embiid. So you're gonna have to hope you can play like some small ball with him, which could work. But also like he's not particularly like big. He's like a decent shooter. I don't know. He just doesn't like. There's just nothing that he like has. Like there's
He's
not
just
an
like a
it factor for
basketball
him.
player. He's just
Yeah,
like he plays the sport. That's what he
yeah.
does.
Yeah, like Paulo Banchero, who I think is a number one prospect in the draft. Some people have Jabari Smith as him as the number one prospect. Um, he's very good, like ball handling in the post, take it on the block, pull up jumpers, like blow around a defender, like very polished offensive game. Like that's what you can like see in a team. Chet Holmgren, he's a big center, goes up, makes a lot of blocks, can shoot the three as a center. I mean, he's a ton of development still to go. Way more development than Drew Timmy. Drew Timmy's a way more polished product than Chet Holmgren is, but like the potential is there. Like you can see where he's going to be a defensive monster in the NBA, and then as someone who can space it and then put it on the block a little bit in the NBA. But Drew Timmy doesn't have that. Like there's not like a lot of players in the NBA that like have Drew Timmy's like potential. Like, I would say like his game is like kind of similar to Kevin Garnett's game, except it lacks all of the defensive like craziness that Kevin Garnett had. So like, he's
So
just kind of
everything
an
that made
awkward
him a
situation.
unique player is that what he
Yeah,
lacks. Yeah.
if you're a championship contender and you can get him towards the beginning of the second round, I'm sure he can come right in and be a power forward center that comes off your bench and does well. But it's just kind of the weird thing with college basketball where you sometimes just really good players in college basketball don't pan out in the NBA. Like Luka Garza
that's
last year,
true.
Iowa player, dude was insane. Like he looked like Nikola Jokic in college basketball, and he got drafted by Detroit, I believe, in like the late second round, and he's pretty much nothing in the NBA right now. And
Damn.
it's sad, but like sometimes it's just like difference between professionals and college is huge. It's like the same thing. High school, like doing high school athletics compared to D1 athletics, a big jump. But even that college to professional is huge. You have D3 and D2 athletes that still are pretty good athletes. And then you have D1 basketball players who are better than all those other athletes. And some D1 athletes can't even go and play in the NBA because they're just not good enough, even though they're best in D1. So just kind of way like sports works. It's like a really it's a funnel. Like it starts the pool is really wide at the top, and then like it slowly like shrinks in really quickly to just a
Yeah.
small select group of people. That's why it's so hard to be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
No, that's spot on, and I think that applies to any sport because like the Pitt soccer team ranked like 8 nationally this past season. They play the Riverhounds, who's a second division American team. Their professional team. They beat them 7-0. Like the jump from college level to professional level is insane.
And even
Yeah.
that game at halftime was 2-0, which tells me that the Riverhounds weren't trying in the first half, and they could have made it way more. A 7-0, 6-0 game in soccer means that it could have been a 10-0 game.
In a
They were just
friendly.
not like trying. Yeah, in a friendly. So no, absolutely, just like the professional level just takes a step up. So I mean, Drew Timmy hopefully goes to the NBA. I think he'll be like an icon, like someone everyone like looks through, like man, that guy was it in college because he's made. Last year he had a crazy run, just being a great player. He made second team all collegiate this year, which is cool. Gonzaga has a great chance to win the national championship this year. So, I mean, I think some team will overdraft him a little bit, but I mean, they don't touch some of the guys' potentials like Jabari Smith, Paulo Banchero, Keegan Murray at the top. But here, I'm gonna say it here on the podcast because I want to tell everyone no. I do not think Keegan Murray will be a good NBA player.
Right.
So I
Mark it
think
down.
whoever drafts Keegan Murray is going to be very disappointed.
All right.
All
It's
right.
been marked down. It's been etched in stone.
We have receipts.
We have the receipts. Yeah, I think along of what you guys were saying about just like the difference between professionals and like collegiate students, it's like there's always like those jokes where it's like, oh, like whatever the national championship team in football that like wins, like they could beat the worst team in the NFL. It's like, no, they couldn't. As much as I'm sure Jacob would love to say that Alabama could have beat the 0-16 Browns, there's just a different level between a bunch of like 22-year-old college students like going out and playing versus a dude that's like, what was it, Joe Thomas, I think was on that 0-16 team. He's like 33 years old. He was like 6'4", 230, or no, it was like 290 something. He was a left tackle and he'd been in the league for like 16 years. Like his job for the past like 16 years had just been, hey, I'm going to block the guy in front of me for pretty much as long as you've been alive and playing football. I've been doing this in the men's league. It's just, there's such a different level. It's like, yeah, this is literally my job. Like 24/7. I'm not a student. I'm not anything else. I'm here to lift weights and hit people. That's what I've been doing. And I will be doing this for a long time. And I'm getting paid a lot of money to do this.
Okay, so I have a question then. Like just a hypothetical question. Like name one team like from college football or basketball that you think like would have the best shot to beat, I guess, the worst NFL or NBA team. Like a specific year team. So like for example, 2019 LSU versus like the
Versus,
0-16 Browns or
yeah.
Lions or something like along those lines.
I might say either 2019 LSU or 2020 Alabama. Probably would go against either the Lions or the Browns, but they would probably still end up losing.
Yeah, it's not that they would beat them; it's that they'd have the best shot at putting up a decent game.
I think I would go with 2019 LSU because their receiving core was literally all like the best receivers in the NFL right now. It's like
So
what?
Leonard Fournette.
Wait,
I think
2019 LSU did not have
they
Leonard Fournette.
they did it.
Bro,
Oh
are
my
you
god.
kidding me?
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh my god.
Leonard
I'm not
Fournette
into
was
college
in
They had
league.
football.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but
Oh
they
my,
did not
that
have
was
Leonard
that was
Fournette.
was that 2018?
2018
Dog.
didn't have Leonard Fournette. Are
That
you
was
kidding me?
What year
Dog.
was he?
Leonard
was
Fournette was on
20
It's like
Jacksonville for like 4 or 5
2014,
years.
I'm pretty
2014,
sure Leonard
13.
Fournette got drafted in like 2016. I think
Dude, he was on
2016 or
the
2017.
Bucks that
Yeah.
he went to the Bucks the year after LSU won the Super Bowl or won the Natty.
He dogged on my Steelers. Like,
Yeah,
what?
that was in like 2018 that Leonard Fournette was
No,
beating them up.
no,
Oh
Leonard
my
I
Fournette.
God.
forgot what year he was on LSU.
How
Whoops.
old
No,
do you
Leonard
think he
Fournette has
is?
well, Leonard Fournette's team couldn't beat LSU because all you have to do to beat that LSU team is stack the box because they couldn't throw the ball.
Exactly. That was the whole thing. Is like LSU. I feel like had just like that most balanced like offense, whatever, because they had a decent run game with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then their receiving core was just absolutely stupid. And also, it's Joe Burrow. I'm not betting against Joe Burrow. So,
I think that the 2015-2016 10-win 76ers would have lost to Villanova, who won the March Madness tournament that year. They had Josh Hart, they had Dante Vincenzo, I think they had a young Mikal Bridges, possibly. They had Jalen Brunson, Eric Paschal. So they had some guys. Now, I mean, again, professional, very different. Then their roster was Jalen Brunson, Chris Jenkins, Josh Hart, Eric Paschal, Phil Booth, Dante DiVincenzo, Orion Archidiacono, Mikal Bridges. Some really iconic names in college basketball and some in the NBA right now. I think you give that team a chance, they might have beaten the 10-win Sixers. That team was bad.
What about
Now in a 7-game series, I'll always take a professional team over a college team.
Yeah.
Because I really just do believe we talked about professional sports is way better than collegiate sports. But if there was a situation
One game.
One game. I do think that Villanova team could have beat the Sixers.
Justin, what about the 38, I think, and 1 Kentucky team that had Cat, Willie Cauley-Stein, Devin Booker coming off the bench, Tyler Ulis, all them.
That team is nuts. That
Booker
team is
off the
stacked.
bench? I'm sorry, what?
That team
Devin
is
Booker
stacked.
was on the bench because they
Yeah,
had 2 seniors.
No, because
that were starting
Devin
guard.
Booker never started. It's like one of the craziest stories ever. So okay,
Yeah.
this team was totally better than the
Wisconsin.
what is it called? What's its face? What team was I just talking about?
Oh, Villanova.
Villanova, yeah, they're better, but this is not the same. This is the year before the Sixers were that bad.
No,
So I was
I'm
taking-
just saying. Like,
We're
you
just
can
saying
pair
all
any
time.
2 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
you can
an
just pair,
all-time comparison.
yeah, you can just pair
Oh.
any 2 years. Because that's
okay.
what
Also, the Andrew Wiggins, Joel Embiid, Kansas team is also ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't bet against Andrew Wiggins, so
That would
for the culture.
dude.
Yeah.
That I feel like in basketball, like I feel like you would legit have a much like better shot. I feel like just in like that one game series against professionals, because like that Sixers team was so unbelievably bad. Like I feel like if they were told like, yeah, you have to go out there and play a bunch of college kids, they'd just be like, I don't care. Like they could win. Like whatever. We only won 10 games. Like sure, what's another loss at this point?
Who was like the
Yeah.
guy on that Sixers team?
Who was the guy? I mean, who
There was
wasn't
no
the guy? Like honestly, it's probably T.J. McConnell. Like just because he was like here for the
Wow.
culture. So I'll read you the roster. There was Elton Brand, who at this point had been in the league for 16 years.
Holy shit.
Isaiah Cannon, Robert Covington, Jeremy Grant, Rashawn Holmes, Carl Landry, Kendon Marshall, T.J. McConnell, Nerlens Noel, Jaleel Okafor, Phil Presley, Jakar Sampson, Ish Smith, Nick Stauskas, Hollis Thompson, Sony Weems, Christian Wood, Tony Rowan. So
Some of
the
these
only
players
good, the
aren't,
only like
awful now.
no. But here's the thing, right? Okay, Elton Brand, like really old. Isaiah Cannon, I think he plays overseas right now. Robert
Never heard
Covington
of
was super overrated. Now he's kind of just like buried on the Clippers. He's solid, but like he's a number 5 on a championship team, maybe a number 6. Like he's just a good defender. Jeremy Grant, this was his first year before he was like good, so we can't count Jeremy Grant. This is him coming out of college for his first year. Rashawn Holmes, who's a backup center in the league, who was playing starting center. Carl Landry, I don't even know where he is now. I've never heard of that guy in my life. Kendall Marshall, also never heard of this guy. TJ McConnell, the homie, but he's not that good. He's like a backup point guard.
Yeah.
Nerlens Noel and Jaleel Okafor, who are both backup center somewhere in the league, and it was their rookie and or second year. So
Okafor was like that at Duke, though, right?
Yeah, but he wasn't like that in the NBA.
That's true.
And then Phil Press, I don't even know who that is. Jakar Sampson, he was really good in college, but not good in the Sixers. Ish Smith, he's whatever. Nick Stauskas, like it's just a bunch of and Christian Wood is here, but this was his rookie year before he was good. And even now, Christian Wood's not even that good. So truly, like the best player on this team is like a number 4, maybe on a championship team.
That's absurd.
Yeah, I would argue that maybe number 5. It's really bad. Like there's just like I didn't watch. Did I watch this season? I think maybe I started watching. I started following a lot of basketball in the 2016 season for the Sixers. Yeah, this is a team I know a lot more because this was Joel Embiid's first year. So yeah, that team was rough. Like no go-to guys. If you match them up against that team with Cat and Devin Booker, I think they go down.
That is wild.
Wow.
That Booker was on the bench. Like
Yeah.
what?
He never started. Not one game.
That's absurd.
And then got drafted 13 overall.
It's absurd they didn't win. Like that team is that's one of the best teams I've seen in college basketball. And I have a friend that goes to Kentucky, and he was like freaking out that year. And then they lost.
No,
and I was like, shit.
Because and this just goes back to March Madness being crazy.
Yeah.
The best, it's so hard. You have to win. Oh god, I was testing my math skills.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6 games. I think you have to win 6 consecutive games, maybe 5 to 6 consecutive games of basketball, and you can't miss a beat. Like if one team that's why there's in the NBA playoffs there's 7-game series for a reason. It's so that you can like really get the best sample size for the best team wins. Because even like the Sixers had played the Nets in the playoffs one year, and the Nets took game one, and everyone's like, "Oh, the Nets are gonna like upset the Sixers," and the Sixers won the next 4 games, and it was over. But like that's the point of the 7-game series. Like
Yeah.
everyone knows that St. Peter's number 15 seed, shout out New Jersey. Everyone
We
knows
get
that they
smoked in a
yeah, and
7-game series.
everyone knows if they played Kentucky 7 times, they would lose 4, like they would get swept 4-1. Everyone
It would be
knows that
6-1. They would play all 7 games and they would lose on the rest of the 6.
Yeah, and if they play Murray State in a 7-game series, Murray State probably wins 4 of them, and the other team wins 2 of them. Like,
Yeah,
but I mean that's part of the beauty of March Madness, and you have big time players show up. It's really cool because especially with NIL, players like Max Abrams from Oral Roberts, like kind of gets them on the map a little bit more. Maybe they can get like a sponsorship, make their way to a bigger university.
exactly.
So and there's this kid from St. Peter's is getting like memed a little bit.
Yeah.
So he's like he looks a little goofy to be like kicking people's ass.
Oh, that one kid. Yeah. I actually do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So
That's been all over the memes. Yeah.
yeah. So like it's cool though because like you get to it's hype because it's March Madness.
Exactly. Oh my god.
I need to pull up a picture of this guy right quick.
Just to like get a good look and see what we're working with.
It's wild too.
No,
That was,
I can't remember what exactly he looks like. I'm trying to. I got to see this.
What's up, Andres?
Oh, okay, there he is.
I was on a TikTok earlier, and I saw a TikTok of like St. Peter's like dorms and campus, and like they were like these like poor quality, just like falling apart dorms, and now they're like cooking in March Madness. Like it's so sick.
Yeah. It's clearly like showing grit of like this is like a very small school that's like not very well funded. And it's like, oh yeah, here they are, just still kicking it around in March Madness and really trying to put a spotlight on themselves.
Yo, so I was just looking at Max Abrams. Oral Roberts was 1 game away from making the tournament this year. That would have been so hype. Imagine if Oral Roberts had gotten in.
Damn it.
Because they lost in their championship game against North Dakota State, who I think North Dakota State was in the tournament. I know South Dakota State was in the tournament.
That is an absolute crime.
I
feel like they need to be required. They have to be in the tournament every year, like no matter what.
It's just why these teams are so cool. Some of these teams that like can make it in because they play in like some weird like D1 leagues, so that like the league winners like get through. Because the common misconception about March Madness is that it's the 64 best teams in college basketball because it's simply not. Because Rutgers and Notre Dame had to play for the 11 seed. There's still 5 other. It's 20 worse teams that are in there than Notre Dame and Rutgers. Rutgers lost, so there's 20 teams that are worse than Rutgers who got in.
Yeah,
which it's fine. That's the way they do it. But really, like the 16, it makes it even just crazier when they win because Gonzaga is the number 1 team. Well, I guess I'll go Kentucky. Kentucky's at worst the 8th best team in college basketball, and they lost to a team that is probably like the 115th best team in college basketball. But it's just one game, you don't come ready, you get knocked off guard, and there you go.
Exactly. I didn't watch. You guys know what happened? Like, did Kentucky shoot poorly, or like, do they like? Just
I have no idea what happened. I just checked back in, and it's like, yeah, Kentucky lost. I'm like, how? It was. Oh god, I don't know. They must have just fallen apart. I mean,
I guess. Like it's wild. And then they won the second round game too. Like
they're no defense. They lost 85 to 79, and scoring 85 in college basketball games is a lot of points.
Yeah.
St. Peter shot 51% from the field, 53% from 3, 85% on their free throws.
How many threes did they take?
9. So Kentucky shot 42% from the field, 26% from 3, 65% from the line. So St. Peter's, either Kentucky didn't play defense or St. Peter's was just knocking down shots. This player who I'm assuming is the kid with the weird like stash and everything, he scored 27. Yeah, I mean, just craziness. I mean, one of the Kentucky guys had 30 points. Too, just couldn't hold on against St. Peter's. North Jersey, stand up.
I know, right? St. Peter's.
And listen, I mean,
represent.
Good for them. They went out and beat Murray State. So like,
yeah,
it just shows like, I mean, these teams can still make runs. I mean, Murray State was probably hyped. They were like, "Oh man, like we're playing against St. Peter's now. Like we can get to the round of 16." And they come out there, do it again, and anything. I mean, it's gonna be hard for them to go out and beat who they got next. They got the winner of Texas and Purdue. Like it's gonna be hard, but hey, you never know.
March
Never know.
Madness.
It truly shows that you can't look past an opponent, though. You always got to play the game for the game itself.
Yeah,
Play each possession. Like
Yeah, you have to walk a fine line of not like wasting all your energy on one game against an inferior opponent, but you cannot afford to lose. So like,
Right.
I think the best way you tell a team, I was talking to my dad about this, Gonzaga, like a team like Gonzaga, you say, keep this game close at halftime, and then like keep it under control. Like don't panic, just like play loose, fun basketball. We'll play our bench a lot for the first half. It'll be a tie game, and then you come out in the second half for the first 10 minutes, dominate them, and then you have a half to figure it out. But sometimes that can be dangerous, and some teams don't do that. I mean, what was the one game? That was in women's basketball when South Carolina was up 44-4, and you were like, okay, might be a little bit of overkill.
Yeah,
But,
that was absurd. That was absurd.
Yeah, and some people go out and with the intent to like destroy their opponents. Like Baylor beat Norfolk State by like 40 and whatnot. But yeah,
Andres.
Yep.
I think you might be looking at this. I'm just on the ESPN app right now, and I see that Barcelona is winning 4-0 against Real Madrid.
They are El Clasico's going on right now, and Barca have been abysmal this season until Xavi, ex-Barcelona legend, just became the coach. He's still pretty young, and he turned the team around. They are cooking right now. They have like their whole play has just changed after him becoming coach and making some signings like throughout the winter transfer window. But they are cooking right now. Like, this is like the most iconic like rivalry match in club soccer, and the fact that Barca is just discombobulating Madrid right now is insane in their own home in Madrid, which is just nuts.
Yeah.
Like this is crazy because like some guys that are like scoring right now have been in really bad form for their old teams, and now they're just cooking. Like that's wild. And then another thing I was looking at was the coach of St. Peter's. Like he has said some iconic stuff. Like I read something earlier where he was saying like we're not scared of this tournament. Like I got all these guys from Jersey and New York City. Like they're not built to be scared for these games. Like we were ready for anything. And then he was also saying like he had food poisoning the night before the Kentucky game, and like he had an IV and everything. But he was like, I'm not missing this game, and went right to the game and beat Kentucky.
I saw some of those quotes. Those were so funny. I think there was another one. It was like, were you nervous like going into this game, like coaching, whatever? He's like, no, it's just basketball. Like he just did not care. He was like that. I love that energy so much. He's just like, I'm just going out. I'm just coaching. Like I'm gonna have a good time. Like who cares?
I'm rooting for him now.
Exactly. It's like, and honestly, those are some of the scariest teams to go up against. The ones that clearly are like, we have nothing to lose.
Yep.
It's like because if they just go out there and they play just like solid basketball, whatever, and the other team starts overthinking it can get scary. It can get scary for people's brackets.
So no, and especially in a tournament like this, I was just gonna say mindset trumps everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay, also, this guy from St. Peter's, it is Doug Dirt. His Instagram handle. Like he has a picture of himself from like his photo shoot in 2020. He looks like a very normal, like just like white guy like playing basketball. And then he has this stupid mustache. That's why he looks so stupid. And all these like video clips on his Instagram. It's because he's got this stupid stash. But otherwise, he looks completely normal. But it's just so cool to see him. Like he's probably gained so many followers on Instagram, and like, it's so cool. And he's posted all these.
Follow.
I did just drop a follow. And like he's like posting on his story all these other people posting about him and whatnot, and it's just really cool to see.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, Doug, just I love March Madness. You just create legends. Like Doug Dirt is gonna be a legend in college basketball. Max Abrams is a legend. There was that really like hefty guy on Loyola Chicago who was a big man who could pass the ball.
Yes.
And he was a legend. He would just like kind of hold the ball and like toss it with one hand and whatnot. It would just March Madness is just so much fun.
It's where legends are made.
Literally, there's truly nothing greater than March Madness. I think it is probably the best moment of like the sports year. Like,
Really?
yeah,
Every year, yeah. I mean,
I would.
Okay.
I mean, I would rather if like you told me, Justin, would you rather have like the NFL playoffs or March Madness? I'd rather have March Madness.
I don't know. This year,
Even
the
this
NFL
year,
playoffs, though.
yeah,
oh, this year's NFL playoffs was something different.
It doesn't matter. I would take the.
even
I would,
Andres is saying that.
Dude,
I would
no, because
say. No, yeah, go. Yeah.
no, I was just gonna say, like, I'm a pretty casual football fan, slowly getting into it, but just as like a casual fan watching these games, I'm like, wow, like they were fun.
Yeah. And I think I would argue that seeing this year the highs of the NFL playoffs, like those were like ridiculously fun to watch. But I will say the highs of college basketball, like when Nova hit the game-winning shot to win the national championship, like
Oh
that's
man,
like movie stuff right there. Like,
Oh
come
no,
on,
totally.
like
I'm pretty
that
sure I had
is
UNC winning that game too.
oh, just
okay.
heartbreaking.
Well,
Can't
you
beat
also
those
forget
moments.
UNC hit a crazy shot before that to tie up the
Yeah,
game.
two
Yes.
tied the
Like,
game.
that
People,
was
Yes.
like
beauty
the
of
People
it.
best
always
shot
for
of the
it is the
game.
most for Jacob. You're absolutely right. It is the most forgotten shot in college basketball history because of what Chris Jenkins did. A minute
Exactly.
later, it was I think it was off glass. It was like
It was a deep
He
three.
pump faked it.
LeBron hit a very similar shot against the Wizards when he was in Cleveland. Like Kevin Love did a full court pass to him and he just turned around and banked it.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it was a nut shot. Like Villanova had this game locked, and then so calmly they just went up the field. Ryan Arcidiacono shuffle pass to Chris Jenkins, pulls up like 2 feet behind the NBA 3-point line and just drilled. And everyone come and like the seats around the arena are sunken in, so like
Yeah.
people are like jumping out. It was that was the peak of March Madness. But even last year, like Jalen Suggs hit that shot against UCLA.
Oh my God, we went
Glass.
Yes,
We went
ballistic.
nuts. We
Suggs.
almost got written up.
Yeah,
went
I just got a
crazy.
noise one. Like, I just got a noise complaint. That was so funny. Oh my
He
God.
had to, simply had to. You got to get loud for that. But
Oh, and we'll have this weekend coming up, which hopefully we can get together and watch some games.
Yes.
For March
100%.
Madness, because especially as it gets closer, like I don't know, like maybe we'll be rooting for St. Peter's on like a
Yeah,
Friday night,
Yeah.
I would
we'll
love
have
that.
We'll see.
because
Oh my
we'll have
God.
Arkansas and Georgia will be playing on Thursday, and then on Friday we'll have North Carolina UCLA, which will be a fun game.
That'll be a good game.
St. Peter's will be playing on Friday, and then yeah, Providence, Kansas, some good games, and then over the weekend we'll have just another set of great games. Ah,
Yeah.
what a
I'm
time to be
liking
alive!
I'm liking
What's-
Iowa State today over Wisconsin. For
Okay,
no
like,
other
no.
reason than I was reading like when I was making my bracket, I was reading like the little description. They were saying that Iowa State has like the perfect makings of a Cinderella team. And I was like, you know what? I
No.
like that.
No,
I
don't
got
say
Iowa State.
every year, some writer goes out there and goes, "Guys, I think I found the Cinderella team," and it's always a team that shoots the three ball like really well and like has like a really awkward big man. And then every year that Cinderella team doesn't happen, and then it's just another like team. Like no one was like saying like everyone always feel like they have the Cinderella team.
Yeah. It's literally the Cinderella team every year is just like, hey, we have a one small outside shooter that can hit threes. There we go. That's gonna be him. It's gonna be him every year.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Yep.
It's a big game today at 6 o'clock, and then this is going to be Izzo and not Calipari, Krzyzewski's last game against each other with Michigan State and Duke going on right now.
Yeah, it's going on right now. Yeah.
It's an end of an era.
My big upset is I have Miami 10 seed taking down 2 seed Auburn.
Really?
Oh, okay.
So I was really high on Auburn the year they went to the Final Four. I took them all the way. They
Yeah.
were a five seed, I think. I took them to beat UNC. People called me crazy because a lot of people thought UNC was going to win the tournament that year.
Yeah.
That might have been Virginia's the year they won. I think it was. And then so I took them to beat UNC, but then I didn't have them beating. Like I gave up on Kansas after they got to Elite Eight. I thought they would get there, but I was like, I can't put them to the Final Four. I'm gonna move Kentucky through, and then Auburn beat Kentucky. I was so pissed because I had ridden the Auburn train so much because they had Chime Okeke on that team and everything, and I was like, this is great. And then I didn't ride him long enough. But this year I feel like feel like Auburn's gonna fall short. I don't know. They have a really good prospect in Jabari Smith, but for some reason I feel like he's gonna like let us down.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to keep a little bit with college basketball, and I was realizing how difficult it was to win an SEC like away, like to win in another team stadium in the SEC. Like the amount of like games I would be watching, like Auburn would be getting upset on the road, playing like Arkansas or like Tennessee, and it would just be absurd. Like it seems like a crazy environment. It's like totally something I'd want to check out.
Yeah, I feel like those stadiums, especially like if you are like a basketball school, like those arenas can get so unbelievably loud because it's indoors, so the sound is just like echoing off of the sides. Like
Oh yeah.
I feel like there's a much more like legit home field advantage like in basketball than in
Okay.
like most other sports.
So when Jimmer Fredette played for BYU, the place they played was so loud all the time. It was absurd how loud BYU got during Jimmer Fredette's reign over there.
That's a
Yeah,
long time ago, huh?
Yeah, Jimmer Fredette's a while ago, but he's still every year. Him and
Yeah.
Kemba Walker always make it onto like the March Madness Instagram because they're icons of college basketball.
damn you,
Well, did
Kemba.
Kemba hit like some
The
crazy?
cardiac Kemba, yeah,
Yeah,
it was against Pitt in I think it was in MSG, right? It was in somewhere, I know. It was
yeah.
like it might have been. I don't remember if it was in MSG, but it was like yeah, cardiac Kemba. It was he hit a game-winning three against number 3 Pittsburgh, and that was the last time we've ever been good at basketball.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
tough. It's a shame. 'Cause I really love basketball. I haven't been able to make it out to a Pitt game this year, and I guess I won't now at this point. But also, like, I can't justify like skipping up some schoolwork or like pushing it off later to go to a Pitt game because they just lose. Like, they're terrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to one Pitt game so far in the Oakland Zoo. I actually have been to a couple more before that, when my sister was here. But the one Pitt game that I went to, they played the Citadel, which, for those who don't know, is
Oh
a
yeah.
it's essentially like a knockoff West Point. It's like a military academy that is, I think it's Army, maybe. I don't know exactly which one it is, but it's it was exactly the team that I thought was going to walk out there. It was all a bunch of like 6 foot to like 6'4" white guys. And I was like, yep, that's exactly what I thought this team was going to look like. And I'm like, all right, I guarantee you they're going to be a really good defensive team that shoots a really good 3 ball. And guaranteed that's what's going to happen. And guess what? That is exactly what happened. And I don't follow basketball. And I knew that's exactly what this team was going to be. And somehow, Pitt didn't realize that they were just going to sit back and shoot the three. And yet, that's what happened. And there was one dude on the other team that put up like 30 against us. And it was like after the game, lost by like 10 or something. Ended up being the first time the Citadel had won against like a Power 5 team in
Oh
like
my.
probably 50 years or something. It was like
Yeah.
since like the 80s. It's like, oh,
That's absurd.
nice. This team is horrible.
Was this the home opener also?
Yes,
think
this
so.
was the home
Oh
opener.
man, that's how you knew we were in for a
Yeah.
bad season.
Yeah, that's where it's like I remember there was like times I'd be like, he's gonna shoot the three, and he like and they're just like are like sitting back and just letting him shoot. It's like,
Oh man,
what are you? What? That was painful. I love Pitt, but God, they just need to fix their basketball team.
At least we had a good football year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like,
Pitt,
are we
like
walking on, guys? Like, what are we doing? Sorry.
the Pitt sports of basketball and football have been rough. Like this year in football has been good, but it hasn't been in the past. So like, I mean, football is always like is more competitive than Pitt basketball. But I just wonder why we struggle so hard to like. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to make like a March Madness tournament here and there. Like the ACC in terms of basketball is not like,
It's what, Duke in North Carolina?
yeah, so we're not gonna ever win the ACC tournament. But I feel like there
But
shouldn't be a
it's
reason
very
that we
top
don't
heavy.
get in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like there's two like really good teams, but then like everybody else, like, they're fine. They're not like great
So-
teams.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing special. Oh, wow, I'm in the wrong division here. Atlantic Coast. Okay. Yeah. So Duke, UNC, top heavy. Then there's just Notre Dame, Miami, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, Florida, Syracuse, Clemson, Louisville, Boston College, Pitt, Georgia Tech, NC State, like just not like
It's
a
not like a
super
big
strong. I
basketball.
mean, like
Yeah.
sometimes Syracuse is good, sometimes Virginia is good, but otherwise, like it's just those two up top. And I guess Notre Dame had a good year. I don't really know why, but man, we won
What
Aren't they
happened
six
to
in the
them
games.
this year?
ACC? I thought they were independent.
Doesn't it depend on the sport for ND?
Oh, right.
I know they're in football, they're independent. I know like during the COVID year they aligned with the ACC. I think, but soccer wise, aren't they in? They're in the ACC, right?
They're in the ACC for soccer. Yes.
Yeah, I guess it varies depending on the sport, which is weird.
They're so obnoxious.
Yeah.
Oh, they're too cool for the ACC in
Shut
football.
up.
I think what it boils down for Pitt basketball is in the ACC tournament, you're ranked 12 seed, you're playing the 13 seed Boston College, so it's really a pick me game. But we lose by 20, and that's the issue. You have a pick me game, like you need to start to you need to advance, you need to like make a statement that you can actually win some games, and you lose by 20 to a team that you're probably favored to win by like a point or so, like just really a pick me game, but you can't lose that game by 20. That's the game that like should come down to the final shot, and it's not a good look. We have a coach that is like respected. Just I don't know. We gotta get some recruits in. Even like our players like last year weren't even bad. Justin Champagne is doing good things over at. He's playing for Raptors 905, which is the Raptors G League team, and he's been called up. He's on a 2-way contract, which is really cool. He's been playing well. So
Do we have good enough facilities at least? Like, because I know like a lot.
Yes.
Okay,
I've been in them. I work in them. They're very nice.
I would assume
I
they
don't
would.
get it then, because like football wise, we don't have like Pitt doesn't have their own facilities. They have to share the stadium with the Steelers, so that's
But,
probably
I mean,
decreased the amount that some players would want to go to. Like want to go to the school. It's also not on campus, so it's not as easy for students to get there. So I understand that for football at least, but
for
basketball
basketball,
wise,
like
there's no excuse. Like I
Well,
mean,
we
I
have
get you have to compete with recruiting wise with like the surrounding areas like or the surrounding schools, but like I still feel like we should be able to recruit at a decent level or like better than what we are.
well,
Yeah.
the P is for basketball. Like it is a stadium meant for Pitt basketball, which is interesting because like, again, football like is the Steelers. We use the Steelers stuff, so you could argue like, oh, it's a little bit annoying. Like you want to have your own. Like no, we have our own basketball stadium for Pitt
it's really
basketball.
nice too. Like
Really nice.
because
Yeah.
like when I work as like the equipment manager and like I work in like some kind of like some like the back room sort of things. It's like with like laundry and like all that stuff. I have to like walk past like the training room, the weight room they have there, and like maybe their locker room or something. It is like state of the art, brand new facilities. Like everything is like top of the line. It is so nice in there, and I'm walking through there, and I'm like, am I in the right place? Like, I feel like I shouldn't be here. Like, I need to be like 6'5" to even just walk in here. Like, this feels wrong. Like, I need to be like just good at basketball to even be like in the presence of these other people. But somehow it's like we get smoked by these no-name teams for no reason. It's like I don't know how we can't get good people in the door.
There's no excuse. There's literally no excuse for us
Yeah.
not to be at least a decent team.
And maybe like them building the student performance center up right by the Pete will like
Yeah.
encourage some athletes to come over more. Maybe I'm hoping they can kind of do something with upper campus. I mean, for most people listening to this who don't go to Pitt, it won't make much sense. But we have like a lower part of our campus, and we have a massive hill till we get to the upper part of our campus because it's Pittsburgh and we're hilly. So I don't know if like they need some better housing upper campus to like for the athletes so they don't have to like constantly walk up and down the hill. Maybe that's it or something. Like I don't know, but maybe that's what it's gonna take. But it is a little frustrating just because we have the facilities.
We have the
To
facilities
attract.
and we have the budget.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like I think Pitt's budget
billions
is
in
like
endowment. Like
it's like
crazy.
$2.6 billion budget per year. It's like and that's only going up every year. So it's like we have the money for it. Like it's not unreasonable for Pitt to shell out some cash to really try and get these recruits in the door.
Yeah. Whatever happened to Virginia though? Like they were
Their team.
like what happened?
Oh, I think, but
That's a good
basketball can just be very cyclical. Like I think they just got a good group of like talent they developed over time. I don't know. You get like 5, 6 seniors in there who have all gelled together for a while. and then they were good for 2 years, and then they just kind of fall off. I mean, it happens. I mean, like in high school, like my soccer team, like we ended up winning our sectional titles, the first time we ever did it in school history, and then but we had all these old players that were like seniors or juniors, so like 2 years later, we're just back to being bad. So I mean, that's how it is sometimes. Like Gonzaga went through a really long stretch of like not being that good, and for the last like we're living in a time where Gonzaga is the best team in college basketball consistently, but it used to be like a team like Kansas used to be really good, and Kansas is still good, but I mean, like Andrew Wiggins went to Kansas, Joel Embiid went to Kansas. There's a lot of other players that went to Kansas that were really good. Kansas is kind of like Kansas isn't better than Duke or Kentucky right now in terms of
Kansas gives
developing
me
prospects.
Kansas gives me like regular season Packers vibes.
They
It's like
totally do. Yep.
they're so good, like, and they have a bunch of good players. Just I can't remember the last time Kansas like didn't choke in March Madness. And who knows, maybe this year they'll win it all. But at the same time, I in my own bracket, I couldn't justify moving Kansas forward enough because I just know that they typically have choked like every single year, even though they'll be the 1 seed.
I would say Villanova and Kansas are like the opposite. Whereas like Kansas is like a big name school, like big just size school, and they get a lot more talent than Nova. But Nova always seems to like come up when it counts. Like, even as a 2 seed, like I think their team has been weak this year. They've been played in a lot of close games, and they moved on to the round of 16. They'll play the next round game against maybe a 3 seed or something, and they might lose. Oh, they're playing against Michigan. So maybe they'll win, maybe they'll lose, but like making it to the round of 16 is like pretty solid overall. But like
Right.
a team like Kansas, I always feel like, oh man, first round upset. I think they were 2 seed one year and they got upsetted by a 15 seed. Um, that might have been in 2013 when Florida Gulf Coast did it, or that was Kentucky again. It was one of the two. And then also, so really side note, it's crazy the last 2 years there's been a 15 seed upset because Oral Roberts did
Yeah.
it last year, and then so like it's cool that it's back to back. Like I don't know if this is going to be a trend of just like because the talent is so good
Yeah.
that it's going to be easier for 15 seeds to pick off the 2 seeds, or if it's just like a complete like lightning in a bottle situation.
We just so happened to run into the 2 year stretch where the 15 seeds just decided to smoke some top teams, but
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
Well, but on the topic of like facilities, like I don't know if I talked about it on the pod before, but the track facilities at the University of Pittsburgh are awful.
They're
Like
so bad.
they're so bad. Like we don't have an outdoor track to use. So
That's
if you're any
ridiculous.
type of track and field athlete and you want to come to like this school, you just shouldn't because you don't have an outdoor track. You don't have an outdoor track that you can train on that is yours. We have a like a oval like a public track in our area, but it's a mile from campus. It's up a giant hill.
And it's public.
It's public. Um, the track is pretty beat up, and there's a really nice gravel road around it to do like longer like mile repeats and on and stuff. But regular people can be walking on it. And then otherwise, the only time we would have an actual track is if they went down the Carnegie Mellon's track. But Carnegie Mellon has a track team that needs a track, and they're not going to want Pitt on it. So like, we don't really have our own outdoor track, and then our indoor track is a piece of crap.
So bad. It's
So
so
like,
bad, man.
so like, they need to increase like, okay, they're getting a new indoor track in 2025, so that'll help. But otherwise, but even it's so far away from campus, it's gonna be annoying. But they need, like I don't know where they're gonna build one, but they need to build an outdoor track.
Yeah, they really
Well,
Well,
They
what
do.
would
don't.
you guys? Sorry.
Yeah. No, if they just don't build an outdoor track, like they're not gonna get recruits who want to run. Like
Yeah.
if you want athletes who are gonna be like cross country athletes and like 5,000, 10,000 meter runners for the outdoor track season, they're not gonna want to run these like in these areas that they don't have a good track for. Like it's so frustrating because like we have the budget. It's hard to build in the city, but
Right.
we would be able to do it. Like there's enough
They can make
space.
space.
Yeah.
Right. I was just gonna say that because we are like in a city and we're also in like a city that has a lot of hills, so it's gonna be difficult to build like some of these facilities. So like, what would you guys like if you could take out like the soccer stadium, the baseball stadium? Because I haven't even heard anything about Pitt baseball. Like, take away the baseball stadium. Like, who cares? Honestly, I don't like baseball. I don't think
Let's be real.
like we don't
Cut
need the baseball
baseball.
stadium.
Get
We
rid
can
of
cut
it.
baseball from Pitt's like sports for all I care. Um,
Amen.
But like, what would you guys do? Like
Well,
with the center, we play like intramural soccer at like the I guess the soccer stadium, the Pete, like just other stuff like that. Like, what stadiums would you guys build?
yeah,
Uh,
so about that, I had a question. I don't know if you guys knew anything about this because I know they're taking down the dome. Is that just to make a new indoor track, or are they
So that building is going to
actually
become
outdoor?
it's a indoor track, it's gymnastics, it's wrestling, and then there's a big field so the marching band can practice.
Okay, so no news on an outdoor track.
No news on outdoor track now.
But that's ridiculous. That's honestly like it's pathetic because you have like pretty much every high school in the United States has a track and football field, but you're a university with billions of dollars in endowment and you can't make an outdoor track like for the university. Like that's just it's ridiculous.
No,
Like
and it's not
how are
like
they gonna pull?
yeah, and we don't have like a relationship with Carnegie. Like if I go run at the Carnegie track, like it's a 50-50 shot I'll get kicked off by security. They'll just be like, "Oh, like you can't be here." So it's not like it's like, "Oh, well, we have a relationship with Carnegie where it's like 100%
We're
like
very
any Pitt
close with
student."
them. Like, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not like that. So like it is bad because again, like you said, Andres, every school has a football team and a track team. So like track is the most accessible sport and like all you need is a pair of shoes and you can go run. And we don't have one on our campus. And especially
That's
like we're
just
in a
happening.
we're in a city too, so for people who don't feel safe like at night, like running or like even during the day they don't really feel safe running, it would be cool to have like a track where they could just do laps around a track if they wanted to like feel safe because like
The
they didn't
track,
want
like it's
yeah.
exactly
Right,
where, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Instead of just running through downtown, which just sounds like a death sentence.
Yeah. But
There's no
again,
excuse.
I don't
No,
know
it's
where
good.
I don't know where they would build it. That would be a thing, but that's also not my decision. That's not my
Here,
job.
I got a
do you think
plan.
if we were to take off the baseball state? Oh, sorry,
No. Continue.
We can't take off the baseball stadium.
man, forget
I
baseball.
I know
I've
you
never
want
seen
to.
anybody even use that like
No,
field.
here's what we're gonna do. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We'll keep baseball. Fine. We're gonna take over Carnegie Mellon. We're gonna invade. We're taking over their campus.
Are we suiting up? Is this my time? We're gonna do
Yes,
the
yes.
Pitt
This
takeover
is
Carnegie
it's
draft.
we are getting a formal draft for the Pitt
The
militia.
invasion.
And we are taking over Carnegie Mellon's campus, taking all of their facilities for our own. That's what we're doing. This
So
is a full-on invasion.
what do we dwindle them down to? Do they just take over the university as a whole, or do we give them like the smallest like little bit of space?
Oh no, we'll give them
they could start a
This is a
revolution
very
then.
bad, like
exactly.
even hypothetical we're talking about right now.
Let's just get rid of Carlo. What even is Carlo?
Let's get rid of, oh yeah, Carlo. Yeah, I don't even.
But Carlo doesn't have a track we could take over.
So what we do is we get rid of their buildings and then build one on their buildings. Like
just demolish everything. Put the track right on top.
A little sign here lies the remains of Carlo University.
Like
Carlo University Memorial Track and Field.
Exactly.
but their buildings are like on the hill, so that track would just
Oh
be
yeah,
on
no,
the,
it would be a full on diagonal. Like it would not be. Yeah,
that
it would be.
uphill would be rough.
It would be so bad.
100
You'd be
meter
like
dash and then
climbing
uphill.
through part of it. You'd just be like crawling up the track. Like, don't worry, guys. Got a new outdoor track. Yes, it's on a 45-degree angle, but hey, it works.
Maybe there's a world in which they tear down the fits eventually, because I think that's the plan. It's pretty old, so like
Yeah.
I don't know how much space there is up there, but like maybe you could make that a track
Where?
The
near
Fitzgerald
the fits.
Fieldhouse.
I don't know how much space you do have on that flat portion. It would be tight.
That would be
I
really
think it's
tight.
tight, but possible.
That's really tight because wait, but they couldn't just knock it down because aren't they just putting whatever's in fits right now at the like where the dome is?
I think that's what it is. I think that's what they're doing.
They could try to make something work, but that'd be a tight fix. It's already pretty
Yeah.
cramped there as it is.
Well, yeah, I think a track stadium is pretty far like removed from what Pitt would be able to do, but I mean, I think again, I'm a track athlete, so it's like more up my wheelhouse. But like, I just think that they just need to have like an actual track, but they're not gonna get it because
So
I don't
what's
know where.
I was gonna ask, what's the situation with like Pitt hosting home track meets? Do they just not
They
have them,
don't.
or where
They
are
just
they
don't.
at?
Yeah,
They
they
just don't.
Wow.
like it's not like yeah, like we go to like we were just at I think we might have been at Clemson, like this past weekend. Like we just go other places that have tracks, and usually they all have to have like stadium seating and whatnot. So, but Pitt doesn't even like not like that. Pitt doesn't have a track stadium. Pitt doesn't have a track like in general
they
for,
own,
for even
yeah.
training purposes. So
That's wild. Like I remember when I'd go over to LSU for some uh like track meets, like they had like the state, like it was, of course it's flat, like it's flat land, but you would have like the stadium on one, like the football stadium at one point, the outdoor track on one point, and then you would be warming up in the indoor track. It was like outdoor season or vice versa for outdoor and indoor. Like and it like all was like, together in the same area. And it was all like pretty nice, but at the same
Yeah.
time, LSU has like I guess the facilities for that. Like they can do that.
But we could make
And
facilities.
could just I think like what the problem we're just going to keep on running into is the hills, like,
Yeah.
and then like
Space.
the already established things, like the baseball stadium. As much as I clown on it, the grass looks like, or the turf
Turf.
looks so nice.
It's
My
really
Yeah.
goodness,
nice.
it looks
No,
so
yeah.
nice.
It's
The
just
Panther in it is so cool. Like I don't like baseball, but that's cool. And I mean that actually has nothing to do with baseball, but it's cool. Um, but yeah, have you guys heard anything about Pitt baseball just in general?
No,
I
not a single
have
thing.
to. I have
want
to because I work there
Yeah.
sometimes. But like, I don't know. Like, even like I've talked to like even like some like my managers and stuff. It's like I've asked them like, oh, like how is the Pitt baseball team? They're like, I don't know. Like,
You should like,
they don't really even
refuse
pay
to.
attention to it. Like,
You should refuse to do Pitt baseball laundry.
I should actively boycott Pitt
Boycott.
baseball
Yeah.
because we need to
Justin,
put a track facility in.
America's favorite pastime.
So,
Yeah, that
Justin, I was
is
gonna
such
say,
a like that's the equivalent of saying that the Cowboys are America's team.
America's team.
oh my
Get out with
god.
this.
That is the equivalent.
But Justin, so like you guys train at Shenley Park, right? The Oval, like that's
Yeah.
like your track. So it's not even that it's inconvenient that Pitt doesn't have a track, but also like for your workouts, you're gonna have people walking, and you won't get the best like out of your training or anything. Like you're always gonna have to deal with stuff like that. So it hurts like in several ways.
Yeah, no, and it's like the oval's a perfect spot. Like, I don't know if they got like it's not like that far off of the university, so like they could totally just like make it into a track stadium there and like still have the dirt trail people could go around. Like they could, I don't know how, but they could make it work. Um, but no, I don't think they should. Like I think it's awesome that it's a public place, but no, it's like so I was there on Saturday, aka yesterday, and like there was a bunch of soccer teams and stuff playing on the middle, which is cool, but like sometimes you're running and a ball gets kicked like right onto the track, or people like walk out right into your lane, or like there's just stuff in the middle of the track that you have to like run around, or there's just like walkers and stuff, and it's fine, but like you get around, especially as like a non D1 athlete, it's like you just deal with it, but like it's still annoying.
Yeah, like you're not gonna get the most out of what you can like gains that you could possibly get because you have to
The-
deal with that,
Yeah,
and it
the
just takes
track
off
team,
time.
the track team gets up at like 7 a.m. to go to the oval so that they can like have a pretty much a dead spot to work out. And I pretty much think they kind of kick people off the oval or the track when they're using it. They'll just be like, "Hey, like we're gonna do a lot of hard workout stuff. Can you just like move out the way?" And that just shouldn't be the case for a school that has the money and budget to build something like that. Again, I don't have the answers. I don't know where we would build a 400-meter
I'm telling
track.
you, we're taking over CMU. We're doing
But
it.
But you could find the spot, especially if you like demolish is a really tough word. If you got rid of some buildings,
Yeah.
you can make it work.
And we have the money. The only issue is just space. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Andres, I'm looking at on ESPN right now. I didn't realize Madrid is like they're the leaders of La Liga, right?
Yeah, they are. So that's why this is huge, and it's the biggest rivalry match. That's why, like, it's an insane game,
This
and the
is like
fact that
Michigan, Ohio State, except they're both usually good.
no, yes, that's literally it. That's this rivalry. So it's nuts. Like
Who's the guy on Real Madrid right now?
I mean, I would say Karim Benzema, French striker. He's been at the club for a very long time. Dude's 34 now, and he's still banging in the goals. Like he knocked out PSG, who are the equivalent of last year's Nets. They have a super team and are just a failure. And like they have Messi, Mbappe, Neymar, which is on paper the greatest trio like in the world. And they choked a lead. Messi missed a penalty, and Benzema scores a hat trick to send Real Madrid to the next.
missed a penalty.
Well, it got saved, but yeah.
I thought you meant he just straight up missed the goal.
No,
I was like,
it got
yo,
saved.
what?
I did see him miss a penalty in person though in a Copa America final, which is nuts.
That's
It was at
absurd.
MetLife Stadium, and I was like the stadium. It was 2016 World Cup or not? Whoa, Copa America final at MetLife Stadium, and it was Argentina versus Chile. They were in a PK shootout, and Messi sends it flying into the crowd over the bar, and the whole stadium, I kid you not, just goes silent. Like it's silent. You could hear a pin drop. Messi missed that penalty. Argentina go on to lose, and Messi doesn't win a trophy with Argentina until just this past summer. Like it was nuts because that would have been his first one, and he choked.
That's so tough.
And
But
then
yeah.
in the English league or the English Cup, right?
Premier League.
Here.
It says I'm on ESPN. It says English FA Cup.
Oh, the FA Cup. Yeah, that's a separate tournament, but the same
Okay.
teams. That's a
So
cool
it's
tournament.
so Liverpool is going to play Manchester City. Are they like you said? Manchester United and Liverpool are rivals, right?
So yeah, Liverpool Man U is like the rivalry of England. That's like the biggest, like the historical rivalry. But as of recent years, Liverpool and City have been the two best teams. So they've just been basically they've been the rivalry for the past years because they're just stacked and they just win trophies. But that's a good match. The FA Cup is a cool tournament because it's like you have your first division in England, then you have it goes down to like 8 divisions. So you'll have like semi-pro teams facing like top flight teams in that tournament, and it's just like it starts off with so many teams, and it narrows down to just one team, and it's apparently the oldest tournament in like world soccer. So that's a cool tournament.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm a Liverpool fan, so or kind of. I say I'm a Liverpool fan. So hopefully they go win that cup, I guess.
Yeah, they're in contention for 4 trophies this season. So far, they have 1. They have 3 more to go.
Jacob, you sounded so unenthusiastic about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
That's the most fake
I hope,
fan. Like,
man, I hope Liverpool
I can
wins.
name one player on Liverpool. It's
Who is that?
Salah.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, and I can't name anybody else. I couldn't name
What
the coach. Couldn't name anything else.
what color do they? What color is their like?
Oh, they're
jersey?
red.
Okay, good. They're literally called the Reds, so I
Do you
forget
know the
that.
famous NBA player who's a part owner of Liverpool?
huh?
Give me a hint.
Pretty big player.
Greatest player of all time.
Oh,
LeBron James.
Yeah, it's LeBron.
that was absolute bait. That was bait.
Yeah, LeBron's a part owner of Liverpool, and then Jordan has a deal with PSG. They
He
like their
does, yeah.
jerseys are sponsored by him, so they have the Jordan logo instead of like a Nike or Adidas. They got
Even
drip.
though Jordan is a part of Nike, I think.
Yes.
It's kind of a weird situation.
It's like how UNC I guess has. Well, no, I mean it's just Jordan like.
It's like a subsection of
Yes.
Nike. It's like it's still Nike, but like it's Jordan. Like it's
Yeah, exactly. They are drippy, but we don't like PSG because they're just like because it's just all oil money and they just buy
It's
buy
oil
players.
money.
No, it literally is. Like the owners are they're like they own like all these oil companies and stuff, so they're filthy rich. Like they bought Neymar a few years ago for 222 million in like a single transfer, like not like over the course of years, flat fee, 222 million euros. Like it was insane. Like all they have is money. They bought Mbappe for like 160 mil. Like they just keep buying these players and they're a failure because they can't win trophies where it matters. Like they'll win like the French league, but the Champions League they're not winning. They're a joke. Like and now everyone's gonna leave because their few-year project is a failure. So they're going into the mud.
What about Chelsea? That aren't they like kind of similar?
Oh, they are in a they are in a rough situation because apparently their owner is boys with Putin, and they were like a mid club before this guy took over in like early 2000s, and then he had a lot of money, so he loved the club and stuff. Like he bought like good players, some cool Moneyball players and stuff, and but just also some expensive players, and they competed. They won trophies, which they hadn't done before. So after they got this money in, they started winning trophies, and then now I guess all that money, like some of my friends back home, I was talking to them, they call it blood money because this guy isn't a great guy. But
So Chelsea,
You're-
therefore, was a franchise.
what's up?
Is Chelsea therefore canceled as a franchise?
Not the entire. I mean, kinda like they're facing the consequences of the owner because right now he was gonna sell the club, and this is what he said. He's gonna give he's not gonna get any profit. He's just gonna give it all to like Ukrainian just like foundations to help out Ukraine.
Oh,
But
okay. That's
here's
good.
what happened with the English government. They were like, no, you're not. Like, you're not jumping ship. They froze like the club, so their budget's frozen. They can't even buy gas for their team buses anymore. He can't sell the club. Like, it's all chaos right now. And Chelsea, the players, the management, they're all facing like the consequences of this guy's actions, because this guy, he's a rich Russian billionaire, boys with Putin, and it's just chaos. Chelsea they're in trouble right now.
He's
So-
boys with Putin.
Yeah.
That's
An iconic quote.
that's incredible.
Quote book. That's a quote book worthy.
I
I
think.
have a
Oh no,
Yeah.
good.
I was just gonna say, so I have a friend that is a Chelsea fan, as you know. So what could I
Yeah.
say to him to talk trash?
I mean, you could say your club is like, I don't even know. Your clubs might be gone. Like, I don't know. Your club, like, because
That
it's
was the
crazy.
softest trash talk ever.
Well,
Your
no,
club is gone.
I'm keeping it PG for the viewers, keeping it family friendly. You know, there's other things to be said, but on the record, that's what I will say.
On the record.
No, but yeah, it's crazy because last year they won the biggest trophy in club soccer, which is the Champions League, and now they're in trouble.
Yeah. So
It's
I think
wild.
on that note, that will conclude our very sports-filled edition of the Washed Athlete Podcast, talking about March Madness, Pitt sports, and some soccer. So we'll see you guys all next time. Stay tuned for extra cycles, and yeah, have a good day.
Peace.
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 Bengals.
Oh my god.